I just saw that Tim Epic decided that Alan Wake 2 will not be available on other platforms and it will just be available on the Epic Game Store. And that makes me a bit sad. Now, I want to say this. I understand Epic's in a different position and I understand that they are trying to do something with their store and they're in a tough spot. They're not the lead, they're not the first. But equally, there's a mindset change that I wish they had. Because you're seeing this now with a lot of other publishers and platforms. And that is a question I would often ask, and other people would ask at Valve is this good for Valve or is this good for the developer we're talking to, for VR? So like at the end when I worked on VR, a lot of times my question would be is like, are we doing this for Steam or are we doing this for VR? Because if we're doing this for Steam, I don't want to do it. Steam will be fine. But if we're doing this for VR, then okay. Like if this is going to help VR. And so one of the things early on, these kind of things came up with really early days. We're going out. I remember we're at EGX in the UK and talking to some developers, and we're giving them dev kits, and they're all excited, and they're showing us stuff, and they're talking about bringing it to Steam. They're super excited. And then Meta comes by, and essentially Meta was using us as like the minor leagues of like we would highlight devs we liked, and they would come in and swoop and offer them money to be exclusive on their platform. And I remember a few of those devs then became very scared to come up to me. They were like nervous about like, I knew they took the money. They knew they weren't going to publish on Steam anymore, or at least delayed. And we talked about this internally, and we were like, we support them. And I would go up to them and be like, hey, that's awesome. You got money. I'm glad you're going to be able to make the best game possible. Good for you. And I remember people being like, what? And I'm like, yeah. It'll work out. Now, Steam was already entrenched. It was already a leader. It could say that. But that was really important. It was really important that if you think about like a lot of the decisions that Valve makes, and you can be mad at certain ones because there's a lot of times there's cascading effects they're trying to avoid. But a lot of it comes from, the very impetus of Steam was, hey, instead of making better, anti-piracy software, let's just make it easier for people to download and keep games up to date, because we had Counter-Strike. And Counter-Strike had this problem of getting everybody synced up. So we solved that problem. Well, that helps Steam. But that helps the consumer first, right? And you put the consumer first. And so you can argue about some of the stuff that they do, but a lot of the stuff, if you look at it, goes, how can I help the people playing games? Like reviews. Man, I hate reviews on my game. I hate seeing somebody be all weird. And the anti-woke reviews are just getting tiresome. But equally, that's valuable to have, and that's valuable that players can speak to the game directly. And so they make this shift that it's better for the players. And having that mindset will, in the long term, always have you win. And we're seeing that now with Xbox. We're seeing that even with Sony. Like Sony brings over their games to all platforms because they want the game. What's good for the game? What's good for the players? Players want to experience this. They don't experience it on our platform. We'll give it to them on another one. We're first going to make our money. And so I can understand Epic doing the timed exclusive. I still don't like it, but I get it because you're trying to get people onto your platform. But now, do what's best for the developer. Do what's best for the game. Look at the game as something special. Look at the game as a living, breathing child. And you want to help that child. How do you help it? Do you keep it in the house, or do you let other people, engage with it, teach it, make it better, right? You should expand it and expand out the world. That analogy failed pretty quickly. But you know what I'm saying. Like, you want to have that thing. You want to care about that thing, the game itself. And you want to have it reach more players and play. It's just not about the money. It's about the experience and the art of it. And for that reason, I wish they would lift their exclusive after a certain time. I don't like the exclusive at all again, but I understand it from a business point of view, and they're coming from a harder spot of trying to unseat somebody or at least pull up in parity. Because normally you have two big players, and really, in the case of PC downloads, you have one. I argue Xbox, I guess, is two, but don't tell Phil Spencer, but come on. All right, but you know what I'm saying. But, right? So I get that, but yeah, so many times, I always love that, is so many times we would just stop and go, okay, but I'm a player. What is my expectations? What am I thinking? Like for the VR stuff, okay, I have a headset. I just want more stuff to play. I don't care where I have to get it from. If that's how you think, and I hate Facebook. But I could still see it from the player's point of view of like, we'll support these and we'll support them. We'll continue to give them headsets. and know that eventually they're going to come on Steam and they're going to sell more copies on Steam. Right? And so a lot of times you tried to have the incentive just be the carrot. And when the incentive of the carrot didn't work, you never pulled out the stick. You just wished them the best, because in the long run, they're going to come back around and they're going to remember that. So, Tim, I understand why you're doing what you're doing, but I really wish you would lift that exclusive now that time has passed, because that game has drastically undersold what it should have. And the studio and the game itself as a living thing would be doing much better if more people could play it.